Give me your favorite thing about America in your best American accent.
Hey, yo, Billy, bro. Come down the lake this summer. We're gonna drink a keg by the... Why is my voice gone so much deeper?
It's actually pretty good. That actually wasn't bad. G'day and welcome to the Big Down Under podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton, and today on the podcast, I'm talking to one of two Australian comedians in America. That's right. There's two big Australian comedians over here. For some reason, there isn't many more than that, which is mind-blowing to me because Australians are everywhere in entertainment over here. But I'm talking to none other than Monty Franklin. Monty is such a funny guy. I feel like his comedy style, particularly online, trades off the fact that he's Aussie. He'll do all these funny bits about Aussies for Americans and other foreigners around the world. He is hilarious. So I got him in here to discuss what's it like being one of only a couple Aussie comedians touring America, and also like what he's doing in the future, because he is in pre-production for a really interesting Australian film that threatens to be the next Crocodile Dundee. For real. It's a movie, a true story about a war Australia went to with emus. I won't ruin the result, but the emus, man, they're pretty wily, those creatures. So Monty's doing a movie about it, and I talk all about that with him. Without further ado, he is none other than Monty Franklin. Something occurred to me while I was researching for this interview, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like Australia has an oversized share of entertainment here in America, except for stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
That's interesting to me. It's like you and Jim Jeffries, and
That's it.
that's it.
Yeah, there's a few others. That's rude for me to say, but the ones that are touring around this country, all year and are doing things is myself and Jim, and that's other people have tried, but it's very hard, I think, for Australian comedians to come over here and accept that you will not make money for the first 18 years. No, for the first, few years, 5 years. So
The same goes in Australia. Like if you're trying to make it as a comedian, and we got a bunch of funny fuckers in Australia.
Yeah.
It's just that it just occurred to me while I said to AI, like, who's our most successful ever comedian? And it said Barry Humphries.
Yeah. So I would say the two that are the biggest is Barry Humphries and Jim Jeffries. Jim Jeffries has probably superseded him for live shows and everything. Jim Jeffries is incredible.
I know.
And he's been a solid touring act in theaters and arenas for 10 years, and he's great. And he's a friend of mine, and he's awesome, and he's very, very funny.
He is.
But it is interesting that we haven't had the same infiltration that we have with acting, because there is so many great actors from Australia that have come and done. I mean, Margot Robbie and the Hemsworths and stuff right now, and Hugh Jackman, our king.
I mean, there's a million of them. There's a million like almost A-grade Australian actors, and it's like crazy how many we have for a small country. But then I was just like, why not stand-up comedy then? Like, you would have thought it goes hand in hand.
Well, do you know why the actors, I think, have infiltrated so well? And it stems from Errol Flynn, okay? He was the first sort of Australian to come over here, and he was the triple threat back in the day. Could sing, dance, act, all that sort of stuff. And the work ethic is what everyone talks about with someone like that. And then Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce and Naomi Watts and Nicole Kidman and stuff came here with the same work ethic that we have in Australia, and brought that into a Hollywood scene where there was a lot of divas that didn't work hard and everything. And so our name was, and still is, very good in the entertainment industry because of how hard we work. Also, you know how hard it is to move country and get over here and actually do it.
Totally.
It kind of weeds out the crap.
Right.
And so the ones that are good, Margot Robbie at one point after Neighbours couldn't get hired in Australia. Everyone was like, oh, well, no, she's just from Neighbours and stuff. And so she moved over here to become a legend.
Yeah.
And then, that story's been done a million times. I mean, the same with Hugh Jackman, with the Hemsworth boys, everything. Unfortunately, we just have a population that doesn't... I mean, the same population exists in California that does in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I can spend the whole year touring around just Florida. there's enough shows there to keep me busy for an entire year. There's 5 major cities in Australia to do stand-up in. There's one big club in each of them, and that's all you can do. You can go on the road and do Shepparton and stuff like that and do road gigs, which are great and fun. But coming over here, like, geez, the last 2 weeks, I did 5 shows in San Diego. I did 5 shows in Denver. I'm about to do 5 shows in Chicago.
Wow.
Like that, it's just, there's more, and it's so cliche to say, but there's just more opportunity here.
I mean, but then why doesn't a fledgling Australian stand-up comic or just anyone sort of like thinking about entertainment, why didn't you just start here? Just because it's too far?
I think
Too expensive, maybe.
Too expensive. The idea that that in your head, because you've done it and I've done it, maybe there's not that many people that want to leave their family and friends. Maybe there's not that many people that want to leave the comfort of Australia. Maybe people are scared of America and all the things they see on the news and stuff like that. I don't know. But from the comedians that I know that have always wanted to give it a crack, it's always been those elements. Well, I have a family, I can't. Or I'm settled in my job here, I can't. There's a lot of I can't. And even, do you know who Ash Williams is?
Yes, I do.
He's a mate of mine. I lived with him here in LA, and he's a really, really funny comedian and a great guy and stuff. But when he came here, and sorry for saying this, Ash, but he never really unpacked his bags and left Australia. Like, he was still listening to Triple J, and I was saying to him, man, if you're going to come here, you got to let it all go.
Yeah.
And you got to let that safety net go, and you got to be here. And I think that he missed Australia too much, and that maybe that is one of the elements too that you know, stops people from cutting that. I mean, we come from a beautiful place.
Yeah.
If you think about it, how great our country is, and the food and the people and the beaches and everything, you got to cut all that off and come here and start fresh in a bit of a terrifying place.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
What's it like being on the road? You say you did like so many gigs everywhere. Are you constantly on the road?
I am. This year will be obscene. Actually, I've gone too far, but usually I'm on the road for the first. So I've been here for 12 years. For maybe like 6 years at the start, I was on the road with Rob Schneider. So I went to a lot of these places with Rob, who's been a mentor and a friend to me for that time. And still, I talked to him this morning. But I opened for him, I opened for Joe Rogan, and I opened for a comedian called Jim Brewer, and I traveled around with them. So then I started to establish myself in all of these markets, Chicago, Denver, New York, everything with them. Then I'd go back and bring my headlining show. And now in the last sort of 3 years, it's just been my solo show touring around. I do about, I don't know, I probably do about 50 shows in the US. And then this year I'm doing Canada, UK, Europe, Asia for the first time, and then New Zealand for the first time, funnily enough, and Australia. So it'll take me right to February.
That's incredible. Do you, I feel like maybe, I mean, the name of this show is Big Down Under, but you're bigger here probably.
No, my biggest shows are in Australia.
Is that
now.
right? Okay.
Yeah. And that's purely from social media, because I do these dumb social media things. But,
no. I mean, you say dumb, but like that's everything these days.
It is. But I found something that people were interested in. So basically all I do is translate Australian slang for the world.
Right.
And Australians find it funny because they reminisce and go, oh, I haven't heard that one in a while. And so, I'm doing theatres back in Australia. So I did Hamer Hall in Melbourne, which was very exciting for me being from Melbourne. That's, 2,500 seats, and it's kind of our Sydney Opera House in Melbourne. So those are the shows I'm doing here, where I've just started to get into theatres here in the US, and I'm doing some theatres in UK and Europe now, like London, Leicester Square Theatre, and for some reason Zurich, I'm doing like 1,000-seat theatre. I don't know why.
That's awesome.
There's people in Zurich that like me.
But I mean, you trade off being Australian more than most people I know. Most people in entertainment, like your bit is that you're Australian.
Well, a lot of people for a long time told me to lay off it a little bit, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe I should and stuff, but I'm not putting it on. I like the quirky things that we have from our country. I like that you've got a football from the 90s, and I knew that it was Peter Sumich and stuff. I like Australian pop culture and history, and I love Australian movies, and I love Australian bands and music. And so to talk about it a lot, is I'm being genuine, and I think, it worries me that we're losing a little bit of that in Australia, to be honest. the pride that we have for our culture, because it's getting lost in politics and board and stuff like that. When the truth of the matter is, Australia is a beautiful place. I thought about this reference the other day. You remember the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Actually, one of my favorite movies.
Okay, so think about the plot of that movie. They go to the beach because they all want to enjoy and share the beach. But it all turns to shit because politics with each of them, and they start yapping at each other, okay? Remember, Australia is the beach. It's the beach. Stop getting too involved with the yap of politics, and remember, you're on the beach.
Yeah, you're with Francoise, for crying out loud,
you
man.
are enjoying your life. So I like to bring all of the things that I grew up and loved and the things that I still love in Australia today and, talk about them.
Can you give me your best American accent? Give me your favorite thing about America and your best American accent.
All right, hold on. I'll try my American accent. Hey, yo, Billy, bro. Come down the lake this summer. We're going to drink a keg by the... Why has my voice gone so much deeper?
It's actually pretty good. That actually wasn't bad. I do that to everybody. And, you're not an actor, but you might have pipped some of the actors, though. That was pretty good, Monty.
I hate having to do the American accent. It hurts the back of my throat because, they use far more vocal cords than we do, like twice as many.
Is that a scientific fact?
I don't know if it's scientific, but it's something I've said.
Right. As good as then.
Well, we're very nasally. You think about how we talk, here you go, like that. It goes through the nose. And they have a much deeper use of the back of their vocal cords like that.
My one is, hot damn, that quarterback from Notre Dame can really toss the pigskin. Is that? I mean, that's nearly there.
It's pretty southern. I like it.
That's pretty.
Hot damn! You sound like Foghorn Leghorn a little bit, which is kind of cool too.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about this movie I know you're involved in, and it's about a historical Australian thing that no American knows, I'm sure of.
Half Australia doesn't know.
True, about how Australia's been involved, in a war, like a civil war type thing, with the emus.
It's the most pivotal war I think, probably in world's history that has been hidden.
It has.
From existence because of the embarrassment.
And now you're involved in a movie with like Russell Crowe. Is it? Who?
Russell's not involved, but I love Russell.
Oh, but, Russell should be involved.
He should. There. Russell, get involved.
Who was it again? It was John Cleese.
Myself, Rob Schneider, John Cleese, Jim Jeffries, Rhys Darby. Who's New Zealand, but he's an Anzac and he's in. And there's a couple other people that I can't mention, but I'll tell you afterwards. Like really exciting.
Okay, give me in brief what happened with the emus
in 1932. It's a true story.
Yes,
look it up. The Australian government went to war with the emus. So there was 20,000 emus running through an area in Western Australia, and they were tearing up farmers' crops. So the army was called in with tanks and machine guns, went to war with the emus, and they lost because the emus were way too fast. They ran circles around the army. They tried to shoot them, but shot mainly feathers. The emus are this big, feathers are this big. They blew up a truck trying to chase them. If you look at just Wikipedia, you will just laugh at the historical events that played out. So I started doing that as a stand-up joke. And then this is going to be a bit of name dropping, but it's fun. So Rob Schneider and Adam Sandler told me, you need to write a film about that. And I wrote a couple of drafts myself, and then Rob Schneider helped me, and we wrote the drafts together. And then John Cleese came on board, and we all lived in a house together in Arizona during COVID for about 6 weeks, and we wrote this film. Jim Jeffries came out, and we all just laughed in the backyard and wrote this film together.
Sounds like a super spreader event.
Yeah, it was. We almost killed Mr. Cleese. Seriously, Jim Jeffries got COVID, and then he thought he'd got Cleese.
That'd be what a way to go.
I know. You can't
Jim
kill
Jeffries,
just a world's hero.
And didn't we lose? Didn't we fight the emus again and lose?
Yeah. 1945, we tried again, but so we gave up after that. So
you've got this movie.
Yeah.
You haven't finished shooting. You haven't started shooting it.
No, we have not started. We're going to start in about March, April next year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you play like a soldier or an emu?
I play the lead soldier who goes out with a ragtag team of cadets to take on these emus and embarrass ourselves terribly. John Cleese plays my father, World War I hero that I'm trying to impress.
Oh, I like it.
Rob Schneider is the head of the Australian Army. His Australian accent's very funny.
Oh, really?
That'll be very interesting.
Does it sound Australian? It's hard for them to do Australian accents. So
no,
hard.
it's pretty good, but it's also a hammed up version that I said to him, "This is the reaction you'll get." Everyone will go, "That was pretty good." That's the reaction. And I'm going, "That's actually what we want."
Yeah.
So and then Jim Jeffries is playing the mayor of this small town that we go to, and it's just a really fun. Beautiful Australian story, but it's got a real heart to it too. Like we've gotten heartstrings on this one too.
That sounds amazing, man. Well, if you need, another soldier to get killed by an emu,
Here
I am.
We do.
Here I am.
Everyone wants to be an emu. Everyone's like, can I be an emu? And I'm like, they're going to be CGI, but we'll try our best.
That's hilarious, man. That's so funny. I was also, just because you are like a resident Australian expert, like you probably know more about Australia than anyone living in America. I also wanted to talk to you about a few other things, like Australian food and Australian animals, because I get a lot of sort of questions and...
Which are both. Animals are food in Australia too.
That's true.
It's nothing like a koala steak.
That's true.
No, we don't do that.
An emu steak, though, you could.
Emu, kangaroo. It's funny to tell Americans that at the supermarket, you go into Woolies, there's actually kangaroo section. Like, there's turkey and there's beef and there is kangaroo meat. And I would eat it at least once a week, kangaroo.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have it on like a parmigiana.
Oh.
I'd have some kangaroo steak on like a chicken parmigiana.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I haven't had that before. That's a pretty good
Fitzroy,
idea.
maybe it's a bit too much, it's a bit too much there.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, Americans want to know about us, like the Vegemite thing, all the spiders, and that's like. Do you get bored of rehashing these things all the time to Americans?
Not really, because I really am proud that everywhere I go in the world, I don't know if you get this, but as soon as you say I'm from Australia, people's eyes light up because they're excited and they're like, like they're not. It's really nice.
It is
because our culture and our history and our people and the way we travel, and when you bump into an Australian somewhere, one of my favourite things is, and you bump into an Australian somewhere, and then an American will ask about drop bears, and then as Australians we're just like, oh yeah, and we're just both.
That is
everyone
the best
thing. It's a world at like joke that the whole nation is involved in it. It's the funniest thing ever.
It kind of like it summarizes our nation very well,
doesn't it?
We have a joke that everybody in Australia knows they'll tease tourists with.
Yeah, and everyone's more than willing to be involved in the joke.
Yes. There's bigger koala bears that will drop on your tent. And so all of us Australians, because I've told this to Americans too, and if there's any other Australians, you can say, I'm not even going to be part of the conversation. You go and ask them about drop bears.
Them and see.
And they'll be like, I didn't believe you.
Yeah, and it's the best in-joke I think the world has ever come up with.
Yes.
And we came up with it. It's so good.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely benefit from like an Aussie privilege where, if people know you're Australian, you just get so much more, from a waiter or from, I'm only employed here because I'm Australian and my employer has made no bones about it and I get it. You know what I mean? Like, we're lucky.
Yeah.
We are so lucky that we get to sort of enjoy like the fruits of Crocodile Dundee's labour and Steve Irwin's labour.
It's completely from those guys.
Yeah.
And I've been to 43 states in this country now, and I've performed in front of millions of Americans. Every single time they come up to me afterwards and they go, it's on top of my bucket list to see Australia. I love Crocodile Dundee and Steve Irwin. And I get really proud of that. And I you know what is, I hear them say it in their voice and I realise that they're never actually going to get there to Australia because it's a long way. Yeah. It's a long way from someone in Dayton, Ohio to figure out how to get to Australia.
Totally.
And so they're so happy when I come to their town and do the show, and it's almost like I give them a little piece of Australia that they may not ever experience firsthand and go. And I'm really proud that I can do that and bring that. And it's a part of me that I can kind of share with the part of America here that doesn't travel. I
like that. And if you put on like an akubra or just like a hat like with the crocodile teeth, you kind of, you kind of look a little bit like Paul Hogan around that time. You know what I mean?
Well, if you think about it, it was about this time in Paul Hogan's career when he made Crocodile Dundee, and I'm about to make the Great Emu War. So maybe I'm Emu Dundee. Maybe that's where it goes from here.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
But what would be awesome is that I'm really ready for the world to have another Crocodile Dundee, another Steve, and not me. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about this film as another
Australian sort of thing.
Another example, of why the world loves our culture so much, and just a newer version and a a different version of our comedy too, because I think, unfortunately, or fortunately, a lot of Australian movies have lent on bogan humour, which has its place and is hilarious.
Which is like a redneck, right? Are there differences between a bogan?
I can't figure out. What do you think? I think it's somewhere in between a cowboy and a redneck. Because if you've got a hint of bogan about you, which I do, and I know you do, it's a good thing. It just means you're down to earth and you're a good person and you're a bit of fun, right?
Yeah.
If you have too much and you're full bogan, then you're a criminal. So there's stages.
That's very true. So rednecks are not bogans, you wouldn't say? You wouldn't say that with that comparison?
There's comparisons that can be made. The thing about rednecks is, and I chatted with Ronnie Chang about this, and he came up with a very good point. He said rednecks will stick to their own thing, and they will not deviate from that. I like my burger, and I like my Budweiser, and I like my NASCAR, right?
Right.
They like their things, and that's totally fine. Bogans will be more than happy to try Vindaloo curry or some Thai food or something and talk about, this is quite nice, isn't it? Like, if you think about Kath and Kim, bogans, but hilarious and great and beautiful people. But so that was Ronnie's thing. So rednecks will stick to their what they know, and then bogans are more than happy to try everything, but just be very kind of
bogan about it.
Yeah, bogan about talking about how much they enjoyed it.
That is actually hilarious. I love that. Hey, yesterday to prepare for this interview, I listened to 3 hours of Joe Rogan.
Oh, was that my interview one?
No, it wasn't even you. It wasn't even you.
Okay, good.
No, it was you. It was you. Man, you and Joe Rogan are good friends. You, he helped you with a benefit you did for the Australian fires, like, a little while ago. You guys are close.
Yeah, the fires that were on 2020, right before COVID hit, and then everything went to shit. Yeah. But those were the worst fires we've had, I think, in Australia's history, but for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I was here, and like you, I felt very far away from home, and I didn't know what to do to help. So I put a show on in Los Angeles here. Myself, Joe Rogan, Jim Jeffries, Whitney Cummings. And we raised like $180,000 US dollars on the night, and Joe Rogan doubled it right there on stage. He just said, "You know what? I'm going to double that." And I looked at him and I went, "What?" And he went, "Yeah," and he can. And Jim Jeffries even looked at me. He goes, "I can't do that." And I went, "Oh, no one can."
Well, what is this? He had signed the biggest podcast deal ever with Spotify when he did it.
It was actually quite funny because he did that night, and then I remember a week later he announced that Spotify deal, and I rang him and I said, I was really concerned, geez, Joe's really just put out a bunch of money. And now I'm like, Joe's fine.
Yes.
Just was
in
laughing.
fact, he could have sprung a little more in the end.
Well, he never said anything about it. He just did it because he's a kind person. And look, honestly, he's one of the most down-to-earth, bogan people that I've ever met. He's generous with his time. He's called me before. He called me like about a year ago and chatted on the phone for a couple of hours about comedy and where I'm at and how I'm feeling and stuff like that. Do you know how much 2 hours of Joe Rogan's time is worth?
Yeah.
And he remembered me, like I hadn't seen him in a little while, but he wanted to catch up and talk and everything, and it meant a lot to me. And it means a lot to me to have people like that that consider me one of their peers. And then, we're always questioning ourselves in this industry. I did it this morning. Geez, I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
But when you have people like that are in your corner, sometimes you go, maybe I do bring something to the table.
That's very true. Yeah. Bit of support.
Yeah. And from people like that too, and you're just like, all right, I can do this.
What he has managed to achieve, in listening to it yesterday, and I was talking to my buddy here, Chris, about it as well, the way he can weave just stories together.
Yeah.
And I've got questions here, and he doesn't ask questions. He just starts a conversation.
He's a very curious person.
Yeah.
And even and I've spent time with him. We did shows in Canada, and I've sat down and had dinner with. I've spent a lot of time with him. He's just a very curious person. A waiter will come over and he's curious to ask them where they're from, stuff like that. So it just leads to that and what he has built. And he's always said to me, I'll only do it as long as I keep enjoying it and having fun. He does that with everything. With the UFC commentating, he definitely doesn't need to do that anymore.
No, he doesn't.
And he never needed to do it in the beginning, but he likes doing it. It's something that he really cares about and is passionate about. With Joe, there's three Joes. There's the UFC fighter Joe, and he's got that whole group of people that he can have hours and hours of conversation with. There's the hunter Joe that has this whole group of people there that they hunt and eat elk and talk about that kind of stuff. And then comedy, and he loves comedy and comedians.
Yeah.
So he loves having the comedy in the green room at his club in Austin and just talking with comedians and stuff like that. So
he was Fear Factor first, wasn't he?
Yeah. That's where he tells me that's where he got the. I don't know if we're allowed to swear, but I will. He says "fuck you" money, right? So he got enough money from that he didn't have to say yes anymore to people.
That's
and if
awesome.
people said to him, we're thinking, you go, no, I don't need to do that.
He needs to bring back Fear Factor sometime. That's really like just the book ending of his career, bringing back Fear Factor.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun.
That would be fun. Another thing I wanted to discuss with you is that a lot of the Aussie celebrities we have weren't born in Australia. Like a surprising amount of people that are...
like Jimmy Barnes and stuff like that, you mean? Or
I mean...
John Farnham too, actually. I think he might have been born in England.
You've named a couple of... Nicole and Keith, both born in America.
Keith was born in America or New Zealand?
Keith was born in... New Zealand. Sorry, you're right.
I thought that was New Zealand. Russell Crowe's New Zealand. Mel Gibson is America, but...
New York.
Yeah.
Olivia Newton-John, England. Naomi Watts, England.
Yeah.
It's...
So what we
Guy Sebastian.
What we like to do in Australia is... If you come to Australia and you're good and we like you, we embrace you and say you are always part of... Like, we steal everything. If you think about it, our national dish is a chicken parmigiana. We stole that from Italy and just made it our own.
We are a melting pot with different cultures. Like, if you tell me what's like the number one cuisine in Australia, I don't... maybe sushi. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Thai food's very popular, isn't it? And great Indian food. And the food in Australia is incredible too, by the way. But I think if you think about the people like Jimmy Barnes and all these staple people that come to Australia and then make their name there, it's like Crowded House. I always say, at least give us half of Crowded House because the New Zealanders will claim all of it.
They will.
But the half of the band were Australian, and then they made their name in Melbourne and Sydney scene. Like so they built it there.
So we adopted them.
AC/DC, same, but they're from Scotland.
And so isn't it like Men at Work? Men at Work.
Really, Men at Work aren't either.
Colin Hay, I think he's Scotland or somewhere.
Really?
It's just like...
Well, the Bee Gees were born in Isle of Man too, but they're Australian.
It's just crazy, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
But we're such a young country. Like maybe we need to just sort of filter and steal in the beginning to build up our breadth of people.
And then if you do anything embarrassing, like if, you throw a phone at someone, then New Zealand will be like, he's there. And then Australia will be like, no, it's there.
Yeah, it's yours. I like when Russell threw that phone. I was like, good on him.
Yeah, good on him, man.
Throw a phone, man.
Do your thing. I wanted to chat 15% of comedians
statistics.
Are what? What am I going to say?
Racist.
Okay. Female.
Honestly, that's more than I thought.
It's interesting to me. Is it just that, guys are funnier than girls or
no?
Stand-up comedies, why is it male-centric?
I'll tell you exactly why it's male-centric, okay? If in order to get yourself into a position to have a career in comedy, you have to work almost at least 15 years, okay? So let's say you start conservatively at the age of 20. It's going to take you till 35 until you actually make a living and decent money out of this. Now, there's exceptions to the rule. One of them is Ronnie Chang, great comedian who started in Australia and stuff. He found his voice very early and stuff like that. But for most people, 15 years is a good kind of range before you start making a career out of this industry, this business. Now, at the age of about 30, when you're still making 20 grand and sleeping on a futon, and you're female, you start thinking about, I want to have kids and I want to have a family and I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And unfortunately, there is a biological clock. This is what I think.
Yeah.
And then I think what happens is most of them that are really good and talented and everything kind of drop off from the scene. Whereas these desperate funny men will push through because they've got nothing else to do. They've got no fallback. They've got nothing else.
You've slept on futons. You've slept on a lot of futons.
I'm still on a futon. I'm at my sister's house right now on a futon.
Right.
But that's my choice. And I bought the futon. But I think that's why it has nothing to do with guys being funnier than girls. There is hilarious girls. I mean, back in Australia, if you watch anything Kitty Flanagan does, she is one of the funniest people on the planet, full stop. She's hilarious. And if you go to the Comedy Store in here in Hollywood, half of the women that are on there are that's no question about it.
Oh, you raise a Comedy Store. I don't know if it's to get me to raise that you were the first Australian to sign your name on
Take
there.
that, Jim Jeffries.
Take that, Jim Jeffries.
Take that, Barry Humphries.
Yeah. You actually, because if you're Australian listening, all the autographs on the wall and all the best comedians are there, and you're the only Australian there?
Yeah, my name's right. I think Jim Jeffries is on there now. But
finally,
I was the first,
about time.
Yeah. But my name's next to Eddie Murphy, and then on the other side is Robin Williams. And like I'm right on there. Like, it's amazing. It's incredible. But
is that the comedy version of like just making it, if you put your name on the, you know what I mean?
It's a really nice accolade, and it means a lot. And you know what? Chris Franklin in Australia, the bloke. I'm a bloke, I'm a yobbo, right?
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine, and he was out here, and we were just having a couple of beers, and he earnestly said to me, "We're really proud of you and what you've done." And it meant a lot to me. He said the older comedians that have always wanted to do these kind of things and stuff, and we never really did it or got an opportunity and a chance, we're really proud. And that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
So to get my name on that wall after, doing stand-up for 15 years at the time and coming here, and I had a career in Australia that I gave up. I had a TV show and a radio show and everything, and I came here and I made nothing for about 6 years.
You have to really want it, bro.
You got to really or really just be insane. And something happened.
Yeah.
But that means a lot to me. That it also means a lot to me that I feel like I'm, because you can have your name on that wall but not feel accepted there. It's a very interesting place, the Comedy Store. But I love going in there and seeing the other comedians and hanging out with them in the green room and that kind of side of comedy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Because going to that Comedy Store, they call it the gym. That's where you work out. It's where you work on your jokes and stuff, and then you take them out on the road. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. That is the specific club that comedians kind of like, you choose to work on your material.
100%.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Then you'll take it on the road and just fill it everywhere.
Road. Yeah, if it works there, if it works particularly in the OR, the original room there, this is going to work everywhere.
Fantastic, man. Well, look, man, you're killing it over here.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'm so excited about the movie you're working on.
Yeah.
And like you're really you're flying the flag for us Aussies over here. Everywhere you go, every state you go. What's your favorite American state?
It varies, but you can't beat California. That's why we're here. The weather's incredible. There's so much to do. There's surf. There's mountains an hour away. Like everything that you need is in California. The taxes are outrageous, and there's a lot going on and everything. But there's a reason people stay here.
What about? And this will end us out. What's the most undervalued or underappreciated American state?
Florida. I think it gets a bad rap.
Okay.
But for Australians, it's like going to far north Queensland, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, now we know what you mean.
But there's a lot of fun stuff there too.
A lot of bogans.
Yeah, there's a lot of bogans.
Yeah.
But they're fun. They're just up for fun, that's all.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Monty, man, thank you for coming in here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I loved getting to do it live like this, and you're just down the road on your futon when I called. So.
I know, I'm 20 minutes down the way, sleeping at my sister's house.
Perfect, mate. Perfect. Well, good luck with the rest of your world tour, mate. And
thank you.
Yeah, can't wait for that movie.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome, man.
It's going to be good.
Cheers, Monty.
Thanks, mate.
Christina.
Pardon, mate. How are ya?
I'm very good. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
You had a busy weekend. I saw you out there at LA Pride.
Yes, I love Pride. All things Pride. Here, Australia, WeHo, Hollywood. Get amongst it. Big ally.
Your husband even came along. I heard at Pride. He was people were.
People here got a little bit excited.
People get excited over, is it Whitey?
Yeah, Whitey, yeah.
Whitey, your husband?
Jack White.
Jack White?
He's not just called Whitey. His last name is White.
Jack White, man. Everyone was like drooling over your husband, so congrats to him.
Congrats to you. Congrats to him. Yeah, I think it's congrats to me.
Yeah. It's been kind of an interesting week as an Australian in LA.
There's been a lot happening.
Isn't there?
Yeah, so of course, the protests happening in downtown LA, and a young Aussie journo got in amongst it.
I saw this was actually some of the most shocking video footage I've seen in a long time, and maybe in part because it was an Australian, maybe in part because she's in LA being a journalist.
Yeah, it definitely made the rounds around the world.
Yes.
And people at home, so for anyone that didn't see it, Lauren Tomasi. She's a US correspondent for Australia's 9 News. She was, I guess, allegedly shot by a rubber bullet at close range.
I don't even think we have to say allegedly. She was shot like you.
We don't see the bullet hit her.
You see the officer point his weapon like the weapon's not pointing at her. She's giving a live cross too.
It's definitely pointing in her direction. She's live on air reporting back to Australia about what's happening with the protests in LA. And she just finishes her sentence and she yelps and she grabs her leg and it's evident that she's shot. Nine has come out saying she was shot with the rubber bullet. It was definitely confronting. She's okay. The camera guy is okay. And the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade issued a statement saying that all journalists should be able to do their work safely, which is, us journos. I mean, not us.
I mean,
you're out there in LAX.
I consider us. We're both journalists. People might not consider us as such, given that we're. I guess entertainment. People don't think it's like.
No, we're not going out there like Lauren is out there on the field.
I was at Trump's first inauguration. I was in some riot type. So
Yeah, it's hardcore,
Yeah.
and media should definitely feel safe. She wasn't wearing like a media shirt, but I still don't think that's a reason to.
She's obviously a journalist. Like she's
holding
young,
a microphone. There's a camera in front of her.
Yeah.
She's a reporter. She's media.
I've never seen like a journalist reporting on the front lines be fired upon by a cop and it all be caught on camera. Like it's crazy.
Definitely. I do wonder what will happen, if anything, to that cop.
Probably nothing. Probably a raise.
We had a senator from Australia. She wants our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, to, demand an urgent explanation from Donald Trump about what happened.
Interesting.
So we'll see what we get from Trump, if anything.
I don't want to,
Get our hopes up.
But she may be coming on the podcast.
Sarah Hanson-Young?
Sorry?
Oh, Lauren.
Yeah. Yes, Lauren. Who are you saying?
I love Sarah. That's hilarious. Australian senator. I was like, that's a bizarre get. But Lauren, yes, let's get Lauren on here. Let's chat about it.
Yeah. I want to get her to come in. She lives here in LA.
Yeah, she should.
Come in here. Sit here.
Have you spoken to her?
Yeah.
Oh,
We've been
amazing.
messaging. Yeah.
Great.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'm glad she's okay.
Yeah.
Albert called it horrific. But yeah.
Okay, what else you got?
What else have I got? Let's go to a happier note.
Please.
Your favorite, the Tony Awards.
I was wondering what you were going to say.
Tony Awards. That happened on the weekend as well. Australian Succession star Sarah Snook.
I love her.
I love her. She's an Adelaide girl, South Australian. She won she took home a Tony for the Broadway drama The Picture of Dorian Gray. So well done to Sarah.
She's a singer as well.
Is she?
Well, I mean, was it Broadway? Tony's is Broadway, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's plays as well without music.
Oh, there are plays without music in there too? Oh, okay, my bad.
Jeez, you were so uneducated about Broadway.
I am. What, Broadway doesn't necessarily mean musicals?
No, there are plays. George Clooney didn't sing.
Oh, true. Well, I don't know if it's true or not. I didn't see it, but okay,
Anyway,
I've learned something.
Sarah played, let's get into this. Sarah played 26 different characters in this play.
Wow.
Yes, which is unbelievable. And she actually practiced for her lines like Taylor Swift did on a treadmill, running them over and over again.
Nice.
Got inspo from Taylor.
Always proud of Australians doing well over there.
Me too. I love them, especially Adelaide. Adelaide, my little old city. Do you know who wasn't there?
Who?
Australian. Big Tony guy.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Okay, where was he?
Where was Hugh? It was Tony. Where was Hugh?
Good point, because he is like our main...
He's hosted the Tonys 4 times.
Do you have an answer for me?
Well, not really, but kind of. He was here in LA on the Saturday night. He was playing at the Hollywood Bowl. So he did his own show. So he could have got on a flight to get to New York within the next day. But he did. He posted about it. He, sent a nice message to Cynthia Erivo, who was hosting the Tonys. But yeah, he wasn't there. Many think that it's because of his recent splits.
He didn't want to get asked stuff.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to get asked by us journalists on the red carpet about anything.
No.
Not that anyone should ask about his split on the Tonys red carpet. That's inappropriate.
Also, I was going to say Katy Perry's in Australia right now.
Yes, that was my next one.
Oh, you have? Okay, sorry.
Why do you have me on this show if you're going to take my job?
Oh, my bad.
Anyway.
Tell me about Katy.
Katy Perry is in Australia. Monday night, she had a show in Sydney, and she was met with a really excited, I guess, do we want to say fan?
No, I don't think he's a fan.
I don't think fans really would do this to their favorite artist, but he hopped on stage.
Yeah, rushed the stage.
Yes, jumped on stage during Hot and Cold, a banger.
Banger.
got a little bit too excited. Before the security got a hold of him, he did a little floss move, which is very outdated. I mean, that's a while ago.
True. It's scary when stage invaders like make it that far, and like he could have done serious harm to her if he'd wanted to. Like he was on stage for ages.
He touched her.
He
got to her.
Yeah.
Before security, I feel like security wasn't really awake to see that.
Yeah.
But also in their defense, that doesn't really happen in Australia.
Their stage stuff like that. Yeah, true.
Yeah,
It's
that's
more over
very
here.
rare. This guy's done it a few times. He did it with The Weeknd as well when he was in
He's
Australia.
a serial stage invader.
Yes. Apparently he's been fined like $20,000 for all of these stage jumping.
Oh, it's only Australian dollary dues.
Dollary dues, so like what, 11,000
Yeah,
USD?
nothing.
That's pocket change.
All right, Christina. That was fun.
You.
That was fun.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
And we'll see you guys here next week.
Bye.
Thank you.